And Ian, let's talk about Eastern Conference. We're looking at the Eastern Conference. Obviously, I believe the both of us have the Milwaukee Bucks penciled in as the number 1 seed.
Yes.
Ian, in your opinion, who is the team that you believe poses the biggest threat to the Milwaukee Bucks?
Well, I think it comes down to probably about 4 teams, right? That are actually real contenders outside of the Bucks, and be the Celtics, Sixers, Raptors, and Heat, right? We can probably both agree on that. Pacers, as good as we think they are, they're probably not going to do much. Magic, obviously, Nets, probably not. So for me, if I look at those teams, Raptors, Pascal Siakam's good. He's really good. But is he a superstar? No, he's not a superstar, and he's not going to probably be able to stop that team. There's not enough star power, I think, to take over Giannis. For me, looking back at the end of the quarantine shortened regular season, obviously we're going to continue, but the regular season, I would say, Jason Tatum was getting to be a superstar. He was playing as if he was a superstar. And if he had done that the entire season, I think he would probably be in the MVP conversation. Although he only really did it for the last month of the season. So for me, looking at that Celtics roster, Gordon Hayward's going to be able to rest up. Kemba Walker is zoned in. Probably one of the only times he's going to have a realistic shot of winning a playoff series. Obviously, with the Hornets, they made the playoffs a couple times, the 7th and 8th seeds, didn't do much. So I think that team is hungry. I think, out of all the teams there, obviously you can look at the Sixers, Embiid and Simmons have had limited playoff success. Jimmy Butler is probably the most competitive guy in the league. If he's up there at least with the Heat. I just think as an all-around roster, including coach, Brad Stevens, I think, has been doing an incredible job with the Celtics. I think it really comes down to, if you look at those 5 teams rosters, including the Bucks, who compares the best with the Bucks? I would say the Celtics do. And I'd say, you need a star on each team. I'm talking about all around roster, but if you look at the star of the team, out of all those players, Jimmy Butler, Embiid, Pascal, I would take Jason Tatum over all of them. So I would say Jason Tatum, the Celtics probably have the best bet of beating the Bucks. That being said, I think the Bucks will regardless. I think that the Bucks will be the winner of the East.
Yeah, I have to agree with you there. I think that all these teams are legit contenders to the Bucks. I don't know if it's a foregone conclusion necessarily. I think ultimately the Bucks are going to go out of the East. Now, Ian, listen, because I know you said the Celtics are the biggest threat to the Milwaukee Bucks.
Yes.
The Boston Celtics, in my book, they're the second best team in the Eastern Conference.
Right.
There's a huge difference between being the second best team versus posing the biggest threat to the Milwaukee Bucks. Because you have to take matchups into consideration. One team's strengths playing to another team's weaknesses. That's the team I'm looking for. I'm looking for the one team that, regardless of whether they're the second best team, third best team, fourth best team, their strengths align with the Bucks' biggest weaknesses. And for that, I would say it's going to be the Philadelphia 76ers. Now, it's shocking because obviously the Philadelphia 76ers, in my opinion, aren't even a top 3 seed in the Eastern Conference. You have the Milwaukee Bucks, the Boston Celtics, and of course you have the Miami Heat right now, leading with Jimmy Butler at the helm of that. But the Philadelphia 76ers pose the biggest threat to the Milwaukee Bucks. One of the big ways to go after Milwaukee is Milwaukee's offense, let's not forget, it predicates on Giannis Antetokounmpo attacking the paint and getting to the rim. So you need to have players and you need to have the right personnel to be able to stop him from attacking the rim inside. And I look at the Philadelphia 76ers, I see Joel Embiid, Ben Simmons, Al Horford, 3 players right there that can stop and lock Giannis Antetokounmpo and prevent him from infiltrating and going into that rim. Because he races at the rim, he's going like 1,000 miles per hour. You can't stop Giannis, and that's how you stop him. That's what the Toronto Raptors did when they were stopping Giannis Antetokounmpo in the Eastern Conference Finals last year. And that's the recipe for success against the Milwaukee Bucks. Once you stop Giannis Antetokounmpo from attacking the paint, then the entire offense falls apart, because the entire offense in Milwaukee, it's all built around Giannis Antetokounmpo. Chris Middleton knocking down threes. Eric Bledsoe occasionally can be that second go-to scorer, when he has to be. Brook Lopez shooting threes. They space out the floor for him. But the Philadelphia 76ers, even if you look at these rankings that I was able to look up, so these rankings I'm about to show to you guys. They talk about the players that have the best interior defense rating 6 feet before to the rim. Joel Embiid ranks number 5 in the NBA. Al Horford, 26th overall in interior defense. Ben Adebayo, okay, the Miami Heat, they won all their games against the against the Milwaukee Bucks. He's only 41st overall, so in interior defense. So maybe those games against Giannis Antetokounmpo could have been a fluke. But I do believe that the Miami Heat also, they do warrant, special consideration. I think the Miami Heat would be a team also that can ultimately challenge the Milwaukee Bucks. Another thing, besides locking down Giannis Antetokounmpo and not letting him drive to the rim, another thing that you need to have, my second criterion, is that you need to be able to take out the Bucks interior defender Brook Lopez and bring him away from the rim and bring him to the three-point line when you're on offense against the Bucks. The Philadelphia 76ers can do that once again. They check that box. If you look at the Boston Celtics, Ian, which big men can shoot threes and space out the floor like Joel Embiid and Al Horford? Joel Embiid shoots 35% from three-point line. Al Horford, 36%. They're going to take Brook Lopez, who's one of the greatest interior defenders this season. They can take him out of the paint, and that can open up the lane for Ben Simmons, who thrives making layups inside. Overall, I just think this team, the Philadelphia 76ers, I don't really think they have a chance, but if they played the Milwaukee Bucks, this is a series.
I would say Enes Kanter has a shot of being able to make a couple threes, but whatever. No, you're right. Brook Lopez, getting him out there is probably a great idea, especially with Al Horford, who Al Horford has been shaky this year from three. But that being said, so the Sixers are going to have to play the Bucks. The Sixers right now are tied for the 5th seed, right? And I assume they'll probably overtake the Pacers. I could be wrong with that, but I would assume they'll probably end up as the 5th or the 4th seed.
I agree.
So they would have to play the Heat, probably round one. If not the Heat, they'd have to play the Celtics. And regardless of that, they would have to play the Bucks in the second round. And for me, it just doesn't seem like – it seems so far out of the realm of possibility that the Bucks would get knocked out in the second round. Obviously, that's just kind of a nitpick, and it's kind of like whatever. But, I agree. The interior defense obviously does matter quite a bit. But Chris Middleton was the best three-point shooter in the league this year. And, Josh Richardson, he's an all right defender or whatever. But he's, I would say that if you take away the inside scoring, and obviously, what are you making a face? You're making a face. What are you making a face for?
Oh, no, nothing. I'm just making a face because you're questioning the Philadelphia 76ers defense compared to the Boston Celtics defense. Sorry, Josh Richardson, Ben Simmons, Joel Embiid, and Al Horford's not enough for you?
I'm talking about perimeter defense.
Okay, Josh Richardson and Ben Simmons. Simmons can go out too.
I don't know. My point is I don't think any team necessarily has. I think really the Sixers more than anything are, they're top heavy. They're a very top heavy team, and I don't know that they can really outscore Giannis and Chris Middleton, but
Yeah, I sort of do see your point there. Like your last point saying that they can't outscore Milwaukee. Again, I don't think when I'm choosing the Philadelphia 76ers, I'm not placing the emphasis on the Philadelphia 76ers having to score more buckets than the Bucks. What I'm saying is if you lock down Giannis, you take Giannis and Antetokounmpo out of the game, you can stunt their confidence. I don't know if Chris Middleton can be the number one option on that team if Giannis Antetokounmpo's having a bad day. If he can't drive to the rim, then how is Chris Middleton and Brook Lopez even going to space the floor for him? So I look at that. It's not about necessarily getting outscored by the Bucks. It's locking them down and making a defensive, gritty battle.